port security is configured on a per port basis, which means we can configure it on the switch details page by selecting a port, or we can go to the switch ports page to do it. I'm going to do it here. We're going to enable port security on 2 ports with workstations connected. For the first one, we're going to use the MAC allow list option and add the workstation's MAC address to the list. And on the second port, we're going to use the sticky MAC allow list option. Let's start with the first one. When we select the port, we can see the connected devices, which means I can find the MAC address that I need to allow. I'll copy that to my clipboard, and then I'll select the pencil icon to edit the port configuration. Nothing on here says port security because the port security settings are rolled up under the access policy drop-down menu. We're going to use the MAC allow list option for this port. When we select that, another field appears for us to put in our allowed MAC addresses. And we can list up to 20. So I'll paste in the MAC address that I just copied and update. And so with this configuration, only this single client will be allowed on this port. But what happens if this device were to get unplugged and replaced with a different device? Well, let's see. I'm going to unplug it and plug in a device with a different MAC address, and we'll see what happens. We'll see the port go down and come back up, and it turns orange. And if I hover over the port, we can see why. It says the port isn't forwarding traffic because of an access policy. So it's working. Let's configure our next port. This time we'll use the sticky MAC allow list option. When we choose this option, again, we have another field appear for our allowed addresses. We can manually add some addresses here, but each address that is allowed by our policy will also automatically be added here. The other field that we have with this option enabled is the allow list size limit. This determines how many MAC addresses we want the switch port to be able to learn. This can also be any number up to 20. So we'll set it to 1 for our case and hit update. And now the switch port is going to learn the MAC address of the connected device and add it to the allow list automatically. This will take a bit of time though because the switch still needs to fetch its configuration. But while we're waiting for that, let's configure some more ports. Depending on the number of switch ports you have, it probably isn't reasonable to use the MAC allow list option on hundreds of ports and manually enter in the MAC address for each one. Instead, we could just enable sticky MAC allow list, allow one address, and as long as we're confident that the devices currently connected to those ports are our trusted devices, their addresses will automatically be added to our allowed list of MAC addresses. We'll go to the switch ports page so we can do this in bulk with virtual stacking. I'll select the ports that I want to enable this for. I'll select edit and then choose sticky MAC allow list from the access policy dropdown. And we'll set our list size to 1 and select update. Now the switch is going to learn all of these MAC addresses and add them to the allow list for each respective port. That's a much quicker way to go about configuring port security than manually adding an address per port. But again, you just have to be certain that the right devices are already on the network when you do this. Let's go back and check on that port to see if it's learned that MAC address yet. And there it is. We can see the MAC address in the list and the port is forwarding traffic. If we go to our event log, we also have an entry for that device that violated our policy earlier. So we've successfully configured port security.